Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. You just check the picture if it's properly focused.
Properly
in the center. Okay.
Not quite the center, a little bit off.
Okay, you can move that stand just slightly to the left or right.
There you go.
Thank you. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Radha Govinda Govinath Madan Mohan Jiu Ki Jai Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiu Ki Jai Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai Jai Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai Jai Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Pravishta Shri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Pravishta Vishnupad Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhara Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Saji Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Milita Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauda Trishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Sadato Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatara Sata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa, Ashtatara Shata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak, Shri Dhara Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And my Dandavat Pranams to all of my Sri Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. Actually, yesterday, it appeared that we had finished the chapter because it was time for the arti, but there's a little bit more.
Where he asks who told us or something like that?
Well, yeah, but there's another little bit that I'm going to read now,
right. Which,
let's see, where is it? Okay.
Who were those people? Something like that.
No, it's narrating now, because Jiva Goswami made a comment at the end that Snigdha Kanta then concluded the day's narrations. And he said, "O King of the Cowherders, your divine son is so amazing. He was even able to make twin Arjun trees his dedicated devotees." The author, Sri Jiva Goswami, comments, quote, "As all the members of the assembly returned to their respective homes after hearing Sri Damodar Leela, they felt as if they had directly witnessed that festive pastime." So, you know, this is taking place sometime later, because the narration, Krishna's grown up. He's also sitting and he's listening to the narration, you know. So, interesting. But the next day is what we hear about now. The next day, while seated amidst that effulgent assembly, Sri Vrajaraj asked, "My dear son, Snigdha Kanta, those two trees in Braj that you mentioned, they used to grant all of one's cherished desires. In that way, they were like demigods. Who were these trees in their previous births? And why did they come to Braj? Moreover, when they gave up their lives as trees, then what form did they take? And where did they go?" Snigdha Kanta replied, "Those two trees were the sons of Sri Shiva's friend, Sri Kuver, the king of the Yakshas. Once they behaved horrendously in front of the best of rishis, Devarshi Sri Narada, and consequently he punished them to live as trees. This punishment was Sri Narada's extreme favor upon them, because they achieved bhakti for Sri Bhagavan. Whenever you descend to this world, they also come as twin Arjun trees in front of your home in Mahavan. These trees later attained their ultimate destination, and they became the best of Sri Bhagavan's devotees. However, at present, they are illustriously situated in the abode of Premi Bhaktas, where they reveal to others the results of performing bhakti to Sri Bhagavan." Now his curiosity aroused, Sri Braj again inquired, "Tell me frankly, son, where are they at present?" You know what the answer is?
Yeah.
At this moment, Snigdhakanta bowed his head and became silent. Then he started glancing at Madhukanta from the corners of his eyes. Sri Brajraj pressed Snigdhakanta even further. "Why are you embarrassed to speak?" With great respect, Snigdhakanta replied, "O king, what more can we say? Your distinguished self can understand everything." Sri Brajraj beamed. "It is true that your words will merely repeat what your silence is trying to say. By your virtuous disposition, certainly we have all understood your meaning, but still, we want you to satisfy us by telling it to us yourself." Snigdhakanta said, "The twin trees, or the sons of Kuver, Nalakuvar and Manigriva, received the supreme destination of residing in Braj in exchange for their insolence at the lotus feet of Devarshi Sri Narada, which are a shower of all types of bliss. Those two are none other than we, the two present before you." Hearing this, with mixed feelings of curiosity and pleasure, Sri Brajraj and all the others present began gazing at their faces, and they happily embraced them, as if meeting them for the first time. So after hearing his brother's reply to Sri Brajraj's inquiry, Madhukanta took the opportunity to begin that day's narration. And that's the end of this chapter.
So sweet.
That's the excerpt from Gopal Shampu. And there are some footnotes here, which I think it will be worthwhile to read because Param Gurudev has placed them here. The first footnote, I could go back, but it's a little difficult. So there's 5 footnotes, 1 through 6. So here's the first footnote. Even when Sri Jashoda saw the universe within Krishna's mouth, she did not regard him with awe and respect. Instead, as is shown here, she simply attributed everything to the Lord's spiritual potency, which she considered had been invoked by her and Nanda Maharaj's sincere worship. Like, she attributed everything to the Lord's spiritual potency. And we've heard in this chapter how she's saying, some potency of Lord Narayan always surrounds my son. The second footnote, it's explaining about Sthai Bhav, Vatsalya Ras, and so forth. So let's hear about this. Affection is part of the permanent emotion called Sthai Bhav. So this affection is part of the permanent emotion, Sthai Bhav, of Vatsalya Rasa. And anger is a transitory emotion, a sanchari bhav of that rasa. The superior's mood of Vatsalya rasa is nourished by the transitory emotion of anger. Because we see how Mother Yashoda became angry here and there. But that's nourishing her Vatsalya rasa. And it is part of their affection. Just as rain clouds become charming when lightning appears in them. Sometimes anger appears in those with Vatsalya Ras, making their mood more charming. So actually, without anger, the mood of parenthood would not be complete. There you go. Now we understand. The third footnote is explaining how there's a comparison being made between Sri Yashoda and Sri Krishna. They're appropriately compared to clouds because both of their complexions are dark like rain clouds. That's why on the cover, Mother Yashoda, that's where Shamrani received the go-ahead to paint Mother Yashoda also with dark color. Because how Krishna got a dark color if Mother Yashoda didn't have a dark color? Number 4 footnote. In the this is about the chor, about the thief. In the dynasty of Sri Yashoda's father, there was a Gopa that was named Chora Ghosh. Chora Ghosh. The literal meaning of chor is thief. And thus, Sri Krishna denounced Sri Yashoda's dynasty, considering himself to belong exclusively to his father's dynasty. Number 5 footnote. Just as the cloud may appear to be far beyond the mountain's peak when seen from a distance, so it appeared to everyone present that there was so much rope being used to bind Sri Krishna that it could not possibly have all been touching his waist. However, just as the cloud is actually touching the mountain, so the full length of rope was actually touching Sri Krishna's waist. But no length of rope could equal the actual circumference of his waist, because, in truth, it is unlimited. Then number 6 footnote, last one. Srila Jiva Goswami has employed a simile by stating that Sri Krishna was born in the Yadu dynasty. So just as Yadu Maharaj stubbornly refused to accept the order of his father Yayati Maharaj. Do you remember that?
He wanted to give his youth to him?
Yes. And he wanted him to take his old age. But Yadu Maharaj stubbornly refused to accept the order of his father, Yayati Maharaj. So similarly, Sri Krishna, who was born in that same Yadu dynasty, stubbornly refused to be bound by his mother. So Jiva Goswami is using this simile. All right, so now, okay, this is the appendix of Srila Gurudev's book, the Damodar Ashtakam book. And we chose to read this entire thing the other evening. We said, yes, it would be a good idea for us to hear this. Now we have heard and tasted as much as we are capable. And so now our subject should go in a particular direction. So there are various things that can be spoken about. I mean, for tonight, there's so many topics, but I'm trying to bring them into my brain so that I can see them lined up. I was thinking, there's many topics that I started in the last few months, but didn't complete. One of them is the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very, very important chapter. Another is the 4th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila. Yeah. And do you remember any other?
When you started?
Yeah.
Oh, you started with Kadeshamrita.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's correct. Upadeshamrita with the book of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Of course, we didn't finish the Braj Mandala Parikrama book either, but that'll take long time. Yeah, the Upadeshamrita. Another thing I was thinking of was Mṛgaśīrśa and also Bhajanarahasya. Mṛgaśīrśa and Bhajanarahasya. Then I was also thinking, why not Jaiva Dharma?
Why not Jaiva Dharma? Gurudev personally told me to study that.
Ah, I think he told everyone to study it. Yeah, that's another thing, and another one that came to my mind was, because the other evening, you remember, when the kids were here, and we kind of spontaneously were speaking shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if you were here in that class, or you didn't hear it also?
I heard it on the...
Oh, you heard it. So, yeah, like, the kids are memorizing Gita shlokas.
Yeah.
So I kind of put out a little bit of a challenge to the devotees who were present, that, because who mentioned it? Actually, Govinda, Priya, she mentioned that Gita Jayanti is coming at the end of December. In fact, I think it's on the December 25th.
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, because today's the 2nd, right?
First.
Today's the 1st.
Today's the 1st.
About 3.5 weeks. That's right. And, I mean, Bhagavad Gita, I haven't had a chance to, really go through the Bhagavad Gita systematically in this Sangha.
That would be great.
And since he just mentioned 3 weeks, right? And there's 18 chapters. 3 weeks is 21 days. And, but then again, to rush through something is generally not as appreciable as going in a systematic way. And that would be something inspirational. Another thing is, well, Vaikanas Maharaj, he's thinking to, in his morning class, to do the Leela of Krishna's Vastraharana Leela, like, Katyayani.
Oh,
Yeah, Krishna stealing. There's a lot of topics there.
Yep.
There's the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on that. So Vaikanas Maharaj is going to do that.
And then we're going to do Ananda Vrindavan Champu, that version.
And Gopal.
And then we're going to do Gopal Champu.
What version?
Well, that story is...
The version of Katyayani.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
3 versions.
What 3? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Ananda Vrindavan, and Gopal Champu.
Yeah. Jiva Goswami, Kavi Kanapur, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Shukadev Goswami. It's really nice.
Bol Hari Bol.
You get all these different things. After that...
You've done that before?
Yes. Did it last year.
Where?
Bangalore.
Okay.
Actually read each of them twice.
Oh.
In the month.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Krishna goes and with the cowherd boys, and he tells them to beg from the Mathura Brahmanas. And then there's the story of the Mathura Brahmanis.
Yeah.
And there's a contrast. You get to see a different insight into different...
Yeah, but not only places, but the Srimad Bhagavatam and the narration of those pastimes, and like he was selecting for the Katyayani Vrat, he was selecting that there are 3 different commentaries that can be read for that, and we actually have all 3 of the books. We have the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, the Gopal Champu.
On tablet.
I have it on the actual book.
Wow. I
have the book, and which I brought from India. Gopal Champu. A couple of years ago, I brought it. I also have it there in my bookcase. But anyway, the Chakravarti Thakur is also such a tremendous attractive commentary to read for each and every chapter. There's so much there. That's an entire study in itself, the entire Sarartha Darshani, you know, the whole commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti's
So
whole
much of what
10th
Gurudev
canto.
spoke came from Vishnu.
I would fry jira and put that in the powder.
Okay, I got
Bhakti was signed in the bag and
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
carried some bits. Damdas.
Mhm. Well, I have all those on this tablet, so just looking for something to dip, you know, like hors d'oeuvres,
Yeah.
you know. So advice, 5 essential essays. Gopi Geet, that would be a wonderful thing to read.
I've never read the whole thing.
There's also the Hidden Path of Devotion, which is Gurudev's classes that he gave to some of the ISKCON leaders on the Rag Vartma Chandrika book. Hidden Path of Devotion. Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma.
If you just wanted to do Dasmula Tattva, that would be great.
Well, you know, Jaiva Dharma. I've never read through the Jaiva Dharma in class. And I was kind of thinking about that recently. Then the Mṛgaśīrśa, but that's quite high and very condensed. Yeah, nectar.
More at least.
Pinnacle of devotion. Well, you know, one thing is that we have already begun reading from Gopal Champu. By reading this, what we just read, about the Damodar Lila, we've already started entering into the Gopal Champu. And since I have the entire thick Gopal Champu, it would be, well, yeah, I mean, from the point in the book where Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta begin to narrate, and they go through all of the Braj Lila, you know, and that would be something quite substantial, you know, substantial, and so much Lila and Siddhanta there, very sublime. But we could do that. Maharaj is going to dip into that in the course of his reading the 3 different commentaries. But I have the whole book. You know, we can go through different Leelas.
And you're going to be focusing particularly on Tatiyani there.
He will,
Yeah,
in the
so
morning.
You have a whole...
Yeah, I can do any Leelas, you know. But then there's Jaiva Dharma.
That's my vote.
I don't know, there's something pulling me a little bit from one side in terms of Leela. And then from the other side I'm being pulled in terms of Siddhanta, because we had a lot of discussion of Leela during, you know, Kartik. And I mean, you can't get more thorough than Jaiva Dharma in terms of philosophy.
I heard that someone asked Gurudev once, if there's only one book we can read, which one? And he said Jaiva.
Yeah, he was very inclined toward Jaiva Dharma. And I would like to go through Dasmul Tattva with a group of devotees. But it's, you know, it requires the mood of wanting to really, you know, churn this ocean of Siddhanta that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given. So that's a different mood than Leela Katha. What would be the nicest is to vary it One day Leela, one day Siddhanta, one day Leela, one day Siddhanta. I don't know.
Read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you get both.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what we're talking. Well, we were talking about Gopal Champu.
Oh, yeah.
One day some Leela, and then the next day Siddhanta. That way could kind of fulfill both, you know. I've never tried that before on a regular basis, you know, alternating. But that could work.
No loss.
Hmm?
Definitely no loss.
No Russ.
No loss.
Oh, loss. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiv Ki Jai. Yeah. So, no, today I became exhausted by driving down to the town. Huh? Yeah. So I'm just kind of thinking out loud in this discussion, you know. But
well, it would be so wonderful to get Javadanya. I'm putting in my 2 cents.
Okay. You're inclined toward the Jaiva Dharma.
I had a particular order to study it and teach it.
Yeah. Well, since I'm sitting here and since it's time and since we have the Facebook Live, I'm going to read something from the Jaiva Dharma for the next minutes until it's time to...
Good.
I think the offering is being done now, or
Yeah, I'm
what?
just gonna do the opening.
Yeah, yeah.
Minutes.
Okay, so...
Sorry about that.
No, that's good. Why are you apologizing for something that's good? All right, so... The first division of Jaiva Dharma is titled The Fundamentals of Nitya and Naimitic Dharma. Nitya and Naimitic Dharma. And how many chapters are there? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I may not have this on here. Let me just check. Yeah, there's no...
I have extra books.
Yeah, we'll probably have to do it with a book. First division. Yeah, I don't think all the chapters are there.
With your tendency to go into each word and take it apart, it would be so beneficial to study the Jaiva.
Yeah, I'd like to. First division. See, I don't think there's some flaw in this. Yeah, you know. First chapter, thus ends the first chapter of Jaiva Dharma, entitled The Eternal and Temporary Dharmas of the Jiva. And then it goes to the second division, Praman and the commencement of Prameya. And that, let's see what's there. Yeah, see, it's also, I don't know, they've made a mistake.
Praman and Prameya is Dasmula.
I know. Thus ends the 13th chapter. So it jumps from the first chapter to the 13th chapter of Jaiva Dharma. And then there's nothing after that. Then comes the third division, Rasa Tattva. So this is this is one of the faults of this app that I have. I remembered this now, because I was trying to look something up on Jaiva Dharma and I noticed this. Anyway, we have the books. We have the books. And
You just tell me I'll bring one from home if you need.
yeah. Yeah. Can you bring that lamp?
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you. Okay. Jai Shri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Well, let's just read what Param Gurudev writes in his introduction. Actually, we'll start with a short preface, that should be enough, of Srila Gurudev's. written for the third Hindi edition by Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. And let's see what date this is. This is dated Keshavji Gaudiya Math, Mathura, UP, 1989. So that's before it all started worldwide. Yes. So he says, Srila Gurudev is telling that I am delighted that the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti's third Hindi edition of Jaiva Dharma is now being submitted before the public. This publication has fulfilled my long-standing desire, for I was deeply concerned that this book was not available in India's national language, Hindi. The original Jaiva Dharma, written in Bengali, is a priceless ornament for all Bengali-speaking Vaishnavas. The author, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is a confidential associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and is famous as the seventh Goswami. In the modern Vaishnava community, he reinitiated a powerful flow of the sacred Ganges of the unalloyed bhakti that Swayam Bhagavan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed. Thakur Bhaktivinoda wrote well over 100 books about bhakti in several languages, and Jaiva Dharma has ushered in a new era in the world of philosophy and religion. This Hindi edition was produced under the direction of my most highly revered Holy Master, Sri Guru Pada Padma, Om Vishnupad 108, Sri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. He is a guardian of the Sri Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya and has fulfilled the inner heart's desire of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Therefore, he is an acharya in the line of disciplic succession coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and is the founder acharya of the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti and its branches, which are spread throughout India. By his causeless, unlimited mercy, inspiration, and direct order, although I am unfit and incompetent in all respects, I was able to translate this book, which is full of exacting philosophy and profound and confidential truths regarding the worship of Bhagavan. I have tried as far as possible in this translation to preserve the lofty philosophy and highly intricate and subtle moods concerning the analysis of rasa. I endeavored to the best of my ability to express these things in clear and easily understandable language. It is for the readers to see how successful I have been in this attempt. Whatever value there is in this effort is exclusively due to the credit of the lotus feet of Sri Guru. The Hindi translation of Jaiva Dharma was first published in the monthly magazine, Sri Bhagavat Patrika, in a series of articles spanning 6 years. The faithful readers greatly appreciated this, and they repeatedly begged me to publish it as a separate book. Our second edition of Jaiva Dharma came out in book form for the benefit of the faithful Hindi-speaking public and for the delight of the pure devotees. This edition was very quickly exhausted, so a third edition was presented to fulfill the deep interest and the demand of the readers. My most revered Holy Master, Sri Acharya Dev, has given an elaborate introduction in his editorial preface, detailing the unique characteristics of the book, its author, and other important topics. However, I cannot restrain my enthusiasm to add a few words of my own on this subject. I beg the readers to study the introduction with serious attention before reading this book. And I have firm faith that by doing so, they will obtain clear guidance as to how to enter into the truth of the supreme reality. The word Jaiva Dharma refers to the Dharma of the Jiva, or the constitutional function of the living being. From external appearances, human beings seem to have different religions according to classifications of country, caste, race, and so on. The constitutional natures of human beings, of animals, birds, worms, insects, and other living entities also seem to be of different varieties, but in reality, all living beings throughout the universe have only one eternal, immutable Dharma. Jaiva Dharma gives a compelling and a thorough description of this Dharma, which is eternal and which applies everywhere, at all times, and to all living beings. This book is filled with a highly concise form of the essence of the exceedingly deep and confidential topics of the Vedas, of the Vedanta, Upanishads, Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranas, Brahma Sutra, Mahabharat, Itihasas, Pancharatra, Satsandarbhas, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjvala Nilamani, and other ideal Shastras. Furthermore, it is written in the form of a tasteful, entertaining, and easily comprehensible novel. Yes, I've just been convinced.
Good. An ocean and a
We will do the Jaiva Dharma. We will do the Jaiva Dharma. I'm inviting all the devotees who are watching this Facebook Live that we just had our discussion today, as you could see. But I'm concluding that the Jaiva Dharma is what should be done now, at this time.
Good.
Very appropriate. And it's also very easily digestible, as it's written in the form of like a novel and conversations. Although Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj told, it's not fiction.
It came through. But
Yes, yes. So Jaiva Dharma, just to finish this, I know, finish it, but yeah, it's just like another couple pages. Jaiva Dharma gives an unprecedented and a poignant, is that how you pronounce it?
Poignant.
Poignant. Okay. I always thought it was poignant.
Okay, from Brooklyn.
Okay, Jaiva Dharma gives an unprecedented and poignant, okay, analysis of many vital topics such as Bhagavat Tattva, that means the truth regarding Sri Bhagavan, Jiva Tattva, the truth regarding the Jivas, Shakti Tattva, the truth regarding Bhagavan's potencies, the conditioned and liberated states of the Jivas, a comparative study of the nature of karma, jnana, and bhakti, a conclusive and meaningful discussion of the distinguishing characteristics of regulative and spontaneous devotional service, that means Vaidhi and Raganuga Bhakti, and the supreme excellence of Sri Nam Bhajan. It's all here in one place. All these topics are discussed in terms of Sambandha, Avideya, and Prayoja. Prior to the Bengali edition of Jaiva Dharma, published by Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, all editions of Jaiva Dharma, published by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and the subsequent Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas in their line have included the section on Rasa Vichar. That means to deliberate on the entire topic of Rasa Tattva. So, however, for specific reasons, our most revered Holy Master, Sri Guru Pada Padma, published an edition containing only the first two sections of the book, which deal respectively with Nitya Naimitic Dharma and Sambandha Abhideya and Prayojana. He did not publish the third part of the book, which deals with Rasa Vichar, a detailed consideration of the confidential transcendental mellows of bhakti. Later, however, when Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math was in the process of publishing its Hindi edition from Mathura, then Srila Gurupada Padma personally reviewed the entire book. And in his introduction to this edition, he very clearly instructed the readers to first examine their eligibility. Yes. Or their lack thereof. To first do that, and then cautiously proceed with their study of the third section dealing with Rasa Vichar. So therefore, when all three parts of the book were published together in the second edition, I did not feel that it was necessary to give any further clarification. At the time of writing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, a doubt arose in the heart of Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami regarding whether he should present the discussion on Rasa Vichar. So he questioned whether or not to include this topic in the book, lest ineligible people may read it to their detriment. Finally, he resolved to include Rasa Vichar in the book, expressing this in his own words in Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 4, Adi Lila, verses 231 through 235, and Gurudev has quoted these 4 verses a number of times. So here's what he's telling Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj on this topic, because he's, as Gurudev is explaining here, he's trying to decide whether or not to include the Rasa Tattva, Rasa Vichar, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he says, E sab siddhanta guda kohite na jujai, na kohile keha ihar anta nahi pai. So this verse says, the esoteric and the confidential conclusions regarding the amorous pastimes of Rasaraj, Sri Krishna and the gopis, who are the embodiments of Mahabhav, these esoteric and confidential conclusions are not fit to be disclosed to the common ordinary man. But then he goes further and he says, Ataeva kohi kichu karina niguda, bujibe rasika bhakta na bujibe muda. But if they are not revealed, then no one can enter into this topic. I shall therefore describe these topics in a concealed manner, so that only Rasik Bhaktas will be able to understand them, whereas ineligible fools will not. Then he says, E sab siddhanta hoy amrera pallava bhakti gana kokiler sarvada ballava. This entire doctrine is as sweet as newly grown mango sprouts, which can only be relished by the devotees who are compared to cuckoos. Abhakta ushtrer ite na hoy pravesh, tabe chitte hoy more ananda vishesh. This is the last verse in this group of 4 verses. He says, the camel-like non-devotees cannot possibly gain admittance into these topics. So therefore, there is special jubilation in my heart. So Gurudev is telling that it is always inappropriate to reveal confidential Vraja Ras topics before general people. However, there is every possibility that this sacred mystery will disappear if it is not thoroughly explained. We had a whole discussion the other day about this. Although neem and mango trees may be present together in the same garden, a crow will sit on the neem tree and taste its bitter fruits, whereas the cuckoo, who has discriminating taste, he will sit on the mango tree and savor its sweet sprouts and blossoms. So consequently, it is proper to present Rasa Vichar. Now he ends his introduction, Gurudev says. Until now, the world of Hindi literature has lacked such an exceptionally fine and comprehensive book, which acquaints one through comparative analysis with the highest philosophical conclusions and the super excellent methods of worship of Vaishnava Dharma. Jaiva Dharma has fulfilled this need. It will usher in a new era in the philosophical and the religious worlds, and particularly in the world of Vaishnavism. Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math, Mathura, UP, 1989, an aspirant for a particle of mercy of Sri Sri Guru and Vaishnavas, Sri Dandi Bhikshu, Sri Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. Gaur Premanandi.
That was a great preview.
Yeah, so
We'll
that,
read the introduction next. Huh?
well, we'll read the preface of Param Gurudev,
Yeah, that's right.
and then the introduction.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then we'll
Great.
start sailing away on the ocean of Jaiva Dharma
You're the
and
right
see
person.
where we end up, when we end up there. There's no way of knowing.
And you're
all
the
we
right
know-
person to do it with, Mara.
Well, I don't know, but I'm here. And so it seems like a good topic,
Yeah.
and it'll be very interesting for me also to see how the Jaiva Dharma begins to
Unfold.
manifest, and how the devotees begin to also feel attracted, and also how they start to become absorbed as they're hearing chapter by chapter. Have you ever gone through?
Yeah.
You went through the whole Jaiva Dharma? Who was doing it?
Me, Braj Prabhu, Gaura Hari,
Who was a study group?
And then the
There was no class.
Mm-hmm.
we've done it twice, right? Braj Prabhu? Twice?
I think we
2
did.
years
Mm-hmm.
in December, and like these times in the winter time.
And also the Rasa Tattva section.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, there was a devotee.
Oh, Nanda Kishore too. Nanda Kishore.
Ah, okay.
Nanda Kishore, Gaura Hari, me, and Gadadhar was also coming.
Oh, okay.
In Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
one lady, a disciple of Gurudev, introduced her son to Gurudev and said, "My son is a psychologist." And Gurudev said, "Psychology day today does more harm than it does good. Real psychology is Jaiva Dharma."
Jai. Okay, Shri Gaur Arti Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi.
Haribo.
Vansha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaiva Dharma Ki Jai. Jayo, I'm going to just chant the Artik song without response, just all the way through. Jayo, Jayo, Gauda Chande.